Hello,
Quasar.
world. Quasar.
Quasar.
America.
America, Quasar, our buddies.
We're solving your problems and helping you make more money. That is the goal for this week's episode. I hope and trust everyone here is doing amazing and stupendous and remarkable. Dave and I are going to dive into all the things that are important. And top of that list, are we still talking kindly to each other, or are we throwing telephone poles at Iran? Because it sure does seem like we're still in a war every day. I think we just lost 2 more servicemen in this still have no clue what we're doing situation.
And I always implore people to have empathy, because we're all just humans traveling around on this big blue and green planet of ours. And at the same time, the Iranian health ministry is saying, look, and you killed 50 civilians and hundreds of other people are in hospitals, and you're cutting off our water and blowing up our bridges. So, the other side of this is, nobody has to like or support the government of Iran, but God, there is no military solution and there's no diplomacy going on. So that's our one-line summary.
That's the update. No diplomacy, unfortunately. Yeah. And again, you would think the markets would react, but they're still not really. We did actually have a little bit of selling last week in general. And it was one of those, well, it's about time. We found we did get some. So let me do a quick screen share. And Micron and some of the semiconductor chips finally got a little bit of a needed pullback. So it's down 34% in the last month since June 24th. I do think that there can be some lower moves ahead overall. I would really love to see a Micron trade down to 700, which again would be normal. I mean, that'd be a 40-ish percent pullback. Wouldn't be anything too crazy for an individual stock. Last time Micron pulled back 31% before it started seeing really strong moves higher. So we'll see. And then here's Dell. Dell is still one of the strongest stocks out there, which is just crazy to even think about. Dell made up 200% since March and really just been trading flat. So I'll draw 2 lines here on Dell. That's the resistance and that's the support. And I think the Dell will probably chop it around between these 2 prices for a little bit. So buy low, sell high, buy low on Dell. And just one other memory type of company right now is Intel. Intel's also down about 35%. But it did pull into a very strong buyable location, which is the 100 simple moving average, or this big blue line. So there are tons of stocks that did have a quick little pullback that could show that they're ready for more. Terawulf, I've talked tons about this company. This is a really remarkable buying spot right here at the 200 simple moving average. This is where the stock's either going to bounce beautifully or not. And I love those because it provides really great risk reward opportunities. If you're a buyer, you're definitely a buyer down here. And at this point, agreed, it needs to bounce. And if it doesn't bounce and we start breaking and going lower, the sell-off's going to continue. So we can get more of a sell-off on the broader markets. The question is, will we? Here's the exponential moving averages on the QQQs. We did close below the 50 exponential for the first time in quite a while. And again, looking at this triangle type of pattern, it almost seems like that is broken out. So I think we're going to retest this, and I hope we go higher, because if we do take out the low of Friday's candle on the Qs, which is 686, we'll also be taking out the low that we formed the last time the AI tech bubble was popping, which was early June. And if we break those, we will go lower significantly. So that's my general thoughts on the Qs, but we're in a very, very precarious spot right now. And then SpaceX, Elon has lost $500 billion of wealth in the last month. SpaceX. Yeah, sorry, Elon. He's only worth $600 billion. SpaceX going down 45% in the last month. And I don't think it's over yet. I think we'll have a little bit of a relief rally and then we'll have one more push. And then again, everyone's going to feel really bad for Elon because it'll only be worth $483 billion. And then SpaceX will start to catch a little bit of a bottom and should start to slowly rally back up at some stage. So there are some really interesting movements out there. I see a whole lot of things I'm aggressively buying, but again, I would like a summer pullback a little bit larger on the broader markets and then a higher move in general. But just looking at where we're at, the big one is this week. Tesla has earnings. Tesla has earnings this week, so that's going to be the big news. And I've been kind of telling everyone, I really think that Tesla's going to do something very similar to what it did last summer, where it got trapped in between these long-term averages and really just ping and ponged. I believe it'll have good earnings, again, just like it did last year. They'll slightly beat and then probably just keep chopping around for a while. Ultimately, can we go higher and will we go higher? Yes, I believe so. But for those of you who have shares of Tesla, it's been a covered call's dream. So slowly selling call options. I believe that my goal on this one, I don't think we're going to get out of 430 over earnings. So if you are a share holder of Tesla, you can just sit around and just do covered calls at around 430, 440, 450 over earnings. And that should just be just fine because we'll trade up in earnings. We'll trade up in these averages. We'll roll back down and we'll kind of just keep bouncing around and chopping sideways for the next 2 or 3 months on Tesla. That's my opinion. I don't think there's anything negative or positive overall. When SpaceX goes down, it looks like Tesla goes down a little bit with it, but in general, should be just fine.
Alphabet is this week too. So in all of the AI discussions, this is going to be another one of those bellwethers, not like NVIDIA, not like the chips and the memory guys, but this is going to be on the end user. The discussion around, remember, like 40% of the markets are upheld by all of this AI build out the last 2 or 3 years. And so the end result is, what's the return on investment for businesses primarily? And what are you getting from consumers? Since most people are paying this $20 and $30 a month, those are loss leaders, right? Those are the kind of like, that's the crack to get you in. No company is making money on that. That is not a thing. That is to pump their stock so that they can use the stock to round trip and buy other companies. But Alphabet is like, hey, we got all these we have this huge business suite. That's why you've seen Microsoft, I think, getting really beaten up because they don't have a frontier model. They are implementing frontier models into their business suite, and the businesses are saying, I don't know if this is working or not. We're not ditching a lot of our costs. We're still hiring people, yay. But Alphabet is going to be like one to watch this week, I think.
Great buying spot too. So again, if you were picking up some Google and you wanted to get into something long-term to protect your downside, AKA buy some puts and then sell some calls nice and far away to pay for those insurance positions, Google's at a great buying spot. It's at the 100 simple moving average. We've had a 15% pullback, which is nice. And we're consolidating. So yeah, if you're a net long, if you're a believer in the internet, and I love that you're using the proper company's name, Alphabet. I've always said Google, but yes,
Googs.
If you're a believer in the internet and that'll stay around, Google long term is always a great purchase.
Hey, Google was the only reason that AOL Time Warner made like 2 or 3 of its quarters or actually an entire year's profits one year, because AOL was like an early investor in the 90s in Google. And so they just sold and took off. I don't know how many trillions it would be worth today, but that was how we made money back in the day, was just sell our early investment.
Yeah. Wow. That's
so
really cool.
Politically, like we're right smack in the middle of primaries. Like it's really showing what the fall is going to be like. To sort of the local is becoming bigger and bigger, and that's a big fight over these AI data centers. Like there is real popular backlash against these, and also in Congress, I think today it's in markup as a bill to limit the amount of what these data centers can actually do to a community. The basics are this: you can't suck all the water out of the ground. You can't also suck up all the power, and so that everybody else's power goes through the roof. It doesn't make any sense, right? So it's just saying, okay, AI guys, you have all the money in the world. Fine, you can put in your data centers, but they can't be crazy noisy and they can't destroy a community. It has to support a community. If you're adding jobs, we know you're not adding a ton of jobs, but is there any reason why you couldn't put these out in the middle of nowhere? I don't know. I think you could. But so that's the local fights that are going on. Where I grew up in Northern Virginia, it has more data centers than I think anywhere else on the planet. And, that's a really big deal. And so in Northern Virginia and Loudoun County and Fairfax County and those areas, those are going to push those, the local fights into a national fight to say, hey, man, if these are, the kings and queens of the world also can't be like net extractors from local. And I think it's starting to catch up with other people, with like what I'll call the normies, that, all these foreign wars, all of this stuff that's going on in the Straits of Hormuz, you may not be following it as closely as me or Jerremy or anybody else, because that's unhealthy. You should start drinking if you're doing that. Is that inflation is becoming more and more of a huge, huge issue. And so people are looking around and being like, hey, why are things so friggin' expensive? And they may not know the underlying reason why, but they're looking around. It's like, my day in and day out is going through the roof. And if AI data centers are on top of that, it's like, oh, and my power has gone through the roof. My power has almost doubled in price in the last 2 years. So I don't know that I doubt that's data centers. I think that's just the costs of all the inputs. So that's the politics.
Yeah, and to your point, they really shouldn't. I mean, I didn't think they would be that loud, the data centers, right?
They shouldn't be. Like we had a massive data center at AOL and it was silent. So I don't know how they're cooling these things at AOL. It was all liquid, and you couldn't hear the thing from the outside. It wasn't the heat exchangers weren't like that. But who knows? Right. They're putting these things up so fast. I don't know. We should get a data center person on the phone and be like, hey, why are these so noisy? So yeah, there is a way to build these, and I think they're putting them up so fast and they're putting up wherever they can that the impact on the community is very secondary. But that's my guess. Who knows? But anyways, locals are not putting up with it. So it is they
don't like them.
No. So it's not happening. And for the love of all things holy, I do not know why they don't stick this out in the middle of nowhere. There's no reason. All you need is fiber, and you need to be able to generate power. It's like, okay, well, it's either natural gas, or you can put up as many solar cells as you want, and go for it. So I don't get it. If they have all the money in the world, then go in the middle of nowhere and do it. But put these things underwater. There's a million ways to do it, and they're doing it the worst way possible, and that just doesn't make any sense. And I think the funniest part of this is that these are the most environmentally damaging things on the planet. They are sucking up so much power, and we're just shoveling coal into the back end of these things. And, the same sort of liberal elite, coasty liberal elites, suddenly the whole save the planet went away as soon as we needed all of the power in the world in order to make a ton of money on AI.
Yep. It's very, very true.
Anything else you're looking at this week?
You got any cool bets on midterms that we should be throwing out on Kalshi? Or these non-prediction markets that are predicting that we're not gambling? I don't want to gamble or anything. I just want to predict.
So the actual discussion around this among the political nerds that I follow are that they've wanted the administration to pay way more attention to the midterms than they have, and on the blue team they're like, oh, it's going to be a rout. And the reality of it is that it's going to totally depend on who shows up. If we're in much dire economic straits, which, look, there's nothing holding up the economy, because the more that energy costs, the harder it is on the economy. That's just it, right? Everything's getting more expensive, and if people are looking at, that's what really slammed into the last administration was the economy wasn't great, right? It depends on who shows up. Now, who usually shows up are the core believers, like the MAGA do or die, and the core, the Democrats are going to show up, and it's going to be like who shows up and who doesn't. If the economy is not doing well, MAGA is going to stay home, and there will be a bit of a routing. They might lose the Senate. If the economy is okay, then you're going to see less change than you think. You're like for sure the House is toast. The question is by how much, and the reality of that is that the core is going to show up, and there's a solid 30% on the Democratic or on the Republican side. And that's enough. Like when we did all of our political stuff, it was like, okay, well, the primaries really tell you who's going to win anyways, right? So the outside bet that I'm really going on with is that the president will not finish his term. I don't know how, I don't know what, but I don't think that the president is going to finish his term.
Interesting outside bet.
That is what I would put money on that one.
Interesting outside bet.
Yeah.
Spain beat Argentina for the FIFA World Cup.
Did you watch I watched the game. Did you watch it?
It was quite good.
My soccer nerd friends were like, "Ugh, this is the worst game," and then the last 15 minutes are like the best game. I did watch the England game. The
oh my gosh! Well, that was routed.
Really fun game. Really fun game.
Yeah, that was it's like the highest scoring third place game I think ever. 10 points.
Dude, I don't know anything about soccer. I'm just going to call it soccer. Sorry, football fans. I'm going to call it soccer. I know nothing about it. I actually watched it on Telemundo, so it was all in Spanish too.
There you go.
So it was.
Beefing up your
fun.
Spanish skills.
Yeah, I live in South Florida. You kind of gotta.
Yeah, I love it. Hey, Quasar, we will be here together tomorrow, and we will see you all then. Excited to see what moves happen today, see how the market holds up or not. Either way, it'll be enjoyable, entertaining, and exciting. This is a stock picker's dream. Everything is moving to its own beat, to the own drum, its own clothing, to its own party that either invited everyone to or no one to. So it is really interesting. Have fun out there. Go make some profits and some cash for you and your family, and thanks for being amazing.